Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Courtside with Beilinson Tennis, part of the Tennis Channel Podcast Network. We have with us today Brian Wilson, Associate Director of High Performance at the Darling Tennis Center, located in Las Vegas, Nevada. Brian was ranked number one in Southern California in the juniors before attending the University of Illinois. In 2003, Brian was the NCAA doubles champion, partnering with Rajeev Ram, and the team went undefeated and won the NCAA team championship. In 2004, Brian was ranked number one in the NCAA in singles. He played on the ATP Tour for 5 years and won over 15 titles in singles and doubles. Brian played in the main draw of both the U.S. Open and the Australian Open. While playing world team tennis, Brian had wins over Pete Sampras and Patrick Rafter. And since Brian has started coaching in 2008, he has been involved in two of the most successful and acclaimed tennis centers in the country. Darling Tennis Center high performance coach from 2008 to 2012, and was director of junior tennis at Northwest High Performance Tennis from 2012 to 2018. Brian then rejoined the Darling Tennis Center back in 2018, and it is my privilege to welcome to the pod Brian Wilson. Brian, thanks so much for spending time and talking your tennis journey, man.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, and glad to be on and glad to talk tennis with you. It's going to be a fun pod here.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. You got so many cool experiences. I was really fired up to do this. So thanks for joining. First off, like similar, I ask everybody, you doing okay in this environment? How is it in Vegas?
Yeah, it's been an interesting, I guess say almost year now, since COVID came on, but fortunately we've been able to be open for quite a bit, of the several past months. We're actually experiencing quite a tennis boom here in Las Vegas, and it helps having great weather. We've got great weather here. I think it rained once in the past year, but a lot of adult players, a lot of junior players wanting to get out, wanting to exercise, just kind of clear their minds. So we have a beautiful club, 23 courts. It's where the Tennis Channel used to be played, an ATP event. Our junior program is growing. We've had professional events. We had an Oracle event actually in last March that was one of the last professional events in the world. It was a 25K men's and women's. Staying busy. I've been playing a lot of golf. It's good weather here for that. And
you keep talking about the weather, and I'm from Chicago, man. I'm going to hang up this pod early. This.
Yeah, it's a little different than Chicago, but we do get some wind here. Tennis is going great here. We've got a great staff, and it's been neat to see people getting out and exercising, with all the stress that we've had and the hardship over the past year.
Yeah, no, thanks for sharing that. And yeah, tennis across the country, I think, got a boom from, if there's one positive that you can talk about this unfortunate pandemic was people got on the tennis courts, especially in warm weather areas, because it's just generally social distancing. So that's good. Hope it continues to be well for you, and hopefully things just get better from here now with the vaccine starting to get out. So thank you for
absolutely
sharing that. You, as an elite junior, an elite college player, you had wins over Pete and Patrick Rafter. We have a lot to unpack here. So I guess if you don't mind, we can just start at the beginning. How'd you get started playing in this sport?
Yeah, so tennis was a family sport. I actually got started at the YMCA. Both my parents played. My older brother played. My grandparents were huge tennis players. They played almost every day. So it definitely was a family sport in the beginning. I started, when I was just a little guy, 3-4 years old. My grandmother, actually, I still have my first racket she gave me. It was a Boris Becker Puma, a small wooden racket. And just loved it. Growing up in San Diego, we had great weather, so we could play a lot. I played 3 sports till I was 15. I played basketball and soccer and really enjoyed those sports, played those at a pretty high level, and didn't want to focus on tennis. And my parents, didn't force me. They we talked about the benefits of multi-sports and really important being on a team. And so I played those till my freshman year. And then we started talking about college, and tennis was the one that, I felt I could further my career. And, my sophomore year in high school, I really started to focus on tennis, went to the Wild Tennis Academy up in Ojai, and, got a lot better, improved, got stronger. So junior junior days, that was kind of the trajectory I had. It took me a while to focus on tennis, but I think those other sports helped me into more of a well-rounded tennis player.
Yeah, no, thanks for sharing. There's a lot of evidence out there that not just solely focusing on one sport, when you get to expose yourself to other athletics, again, you played team sports. That obviously helped the adjustment when you played college tennis. A lot of guys, that's their first time experience playing on a team. Uh, as far as tennis goes, you already had that experience going in through those other sports.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that, the team dynamic and the social dynamic is important. But I would say equally or even more important is the development of the athlete and injury prevention, because I have so many parents that have come to me in my coaching career asking for their child to, get a lesson every day, and the kid's 9 years old. And I know that's not what the kid wants. And if you put all your eggs in one basket in any sport, there's going to be a lot more pressure on a kid. And tennis, even without that pressure, tennis is a tough sport, right? You're going to experience a lot of loss. You're out there. There's no coaching allowed. So, I think there are so many benefits, like you said, but, getting back to injury prevention, I mean, tennis and baseball are overused sports. So one side of the body is dominant, and you're going to have a lot of issues if you're not balancing your body with other sports at a young age. So it's crucial. That's one of the things we talk a lot about with our students at Darling, is playing different sports, not overdoing it and developing, those athletic skills.
Yeah, I mean, appreciate you sharing that, because I know there's a lot to be said about that, and there's so much pressure, like you said, parents on kids. Well, if they're not getting on court enough time, and what if the neighbor's spending 3 extra hours a day on court? Is my kid falling behind? And it's just proof that you could be elite at all these levels with not just being on a tennis court 7 hours a day. So appreciate.
Well, you look at some of these college football games, and these athletes going to the NFL, and you look at what they did in high school. And I know there was a study done a couple of years ago during the draft, and it was, I think, close to 70% of first and second round players that were drafted played multiple sports in high school. And that's obviously, I mean, talk about competitive. I mean, getting in the first and second round of NFL draft and making millions. Those kids were playing a second or possibly even a third sport in high school. So it's crucial. A lot of it takes, educating the parents at the junior stages. But it really, really is important.
No, so true. So your junior career, you were ranked as high as number 5 in the U.S. In 2000, you were the USTA Boys 18s National Indoor Single Finalist and Doubles Champion, and the Easter Bowl Boys 18s Doubles Champion. Was something, maybe it started at a certain age or a certain tournament where you're like, whoa, I'm getting pretty good here, and I'm going to have an opportunity to play at a pretty high level collegiately?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was one event. I mean, I think in Southern Cal, I started to have some really good results. I won sectionals, I think, when I was 16. So that's a pretty good measuring stick. I obviously did better nationally at doubles. But I think, winning and, I mean, beating everyone in California is a good measuring stick. And a lot of the college coaches saw that, and I think started to have more interest. I think it obviously helped me to be recruited to be, top 5 in singles and probably the first or second best doubles player in the country. College coaches knew that I was going to be able to play high in the lineup right away in doubles and, contribute to both doubles and singles. But yeah, I mean, I would say in California, I mean, the level was really high. We had a lot of great players, and I was competing every weekend. I think I was 16 when I got my first ATP points. I was out grinding in maybe 16 or 17 in St. Joe, Missouri with some of the Illini guys. And, that was pretty exciting too, to get ATP points as a kid. So those, I think both those were pretty big measuring sticks for me personally. And giving myself confidence that, hey, if I can beat everyone in California and I can get ATP points, I'm on the right path. But, talking with a few coaches and especially Craig Tiley on my recruiting trips, there was still a lot of work to be done. And I think that was, one of the things that drew me to that university was he really didn't sugarcoat it. He said, you have a lot of work to do, and kind of mapped out what I needed to do to keep getting better, right? To keep improving.
So that's how a kid from Southern California winds up playing college tennis in Champaign, Illinois. A little bit different climate change. The University of Illinois is a tremendous program, and their staff now, while it's different than when you were there, with Coach Brad Dancer and Marcos Hasse, I mean, they're top notch and they're first class all the way, and they're continuing to do a great job. What was special about your relationship with Craig? Obviously, you had an amazing career there. Your team was incredible. Again, 2003, you were the NCAA doubles champion with Rajeev. Team went undefeated. The team won the NCAA team championship. 2004, you were ranked number 1 in the NCAAs. You guys were loaded. What was it about Illinois? What was it about Coach Tiley that really, kind of clicked with you?
Well, yeah, I mean, Craig Tiley and Bruce Burke, who's now, at Texas, just won a national championship. He was our assistant and a big part of the success. I think being part of something new and special was pretty enticing. I had offers from some pretty big schools, on the West Coast and in Florida, but they were creating something special. And a big part of that was having a plan for each player. And a lot of colleges, even to this day, when I talk with them and ask what their plans are for junior players, is they're a little bit unsure. Well, we're going to develop them, we're going to get them better. And when you start digging deeper and asking them how, they don't always have the answers. Craig and Bruce laid out a detailed plan of what I need to do with my game, with my movement, with my mental skills over the next 4 years and then on tour. And so, yeah, part of something new and special. But then also myself, my parents, and my coach and the juniors felt confident in their plan, right? They had a detailed plan. So they say, hey, next 4 years of your life, we're not just going to, randomly choose. We know what's going to happen, right? We know the plan that's laid out. Third, and also a big part of it was I was part of a recruiting class with 3 other players, my same age. I wanted to go to college and I wanted to experience college tennis with players my age. I think that's a pretty neat thing to be able to do if you have one person your age, but we had 4. So Michael Calkins, Amir Delic, and Philip Stolt, we were all very good juniors, and I think I was the 3rd to commit. So knowing that 2 had committed ahead of me that were my same age and had similar goals. We all wanted to play professionally. We all wanted to compete for national championships and dominate the Big Ten. So I communicated with those guys, and that definitely factored into my decision.
No, that's great. And rumor has it you never owned a winter coat until you were actually in Champaign that first fall when that weather dipped for sure. So that was probably
cold. That first October, man, I had to run straight to the North Face outlet. All right, maybe I bummed a ride off somebody, but growing up in San Diego, I never had a winter coat. So one day it went from 45 degrees to about 15 degrees. And I said, okay, this university issued jacket is not going to cut it. I need a large down coat.
For sure. That's funny. So you had that stellar career. I mean, it was stellar at University of Illinois. You then go on and play at the ATP Tour for 5 years, won over 15 titles in singles and doubles. You played in the main draw of the US Open and in Australia. And when playing world team tennis, and by the way, Chicago Smash, you almost won it this year. You lost it by 1/8 of the back of a line by a forehand by Coco Vandeweghe. But I thought World Team Tennis did a tremendous job.
That was pretty exciting. World Team Tennis is always fun. They do a fantastic job. So that was a good product.
You had so much success in World Team Tennis. I mean, you had wins over Pete Sampras and Patrick Rafter. Those 2 guys are okay. Talk about some highlights on tour and maybe even some lowlights that things that didn't maybe go so well.
Yeah, well, I mean, starting with World Team Tennis, I was drafted. I was the number 1 singles player in 2004. And they drafted me, I think, with the help of Craig and some other people on my behalf. But I played for St. Louis for a couple of years. We had a wonderful team. Great experiences. I got to play Rafter in singles, Pete in doubles, a lot of other great players. I played Andre Agassi in singles in Sacramento in front of a huge crowd. So great experiences, especially to start off my career with that level of pressure and excitement. I think one of the reasons why I did so well is because I learned how to be such a good teammate in college and had that experience of being on a team. So, motivating my teammates, being ready if I was even going to get subbed in, because you can sub players in team tennis. But I think, just knowing how to be part of a team and thriving in that format helped me do well in team tennis. On tour, yeah, I had a pretty good career. I mean, it was definitely a tough road in singles. Early in my career, I had some good results. I was close to beating Isner in the finals of a 50K in Lexington. I lost 6-4 in the third. Beat Karlovic in the main draw in San Jose. One of the my best results was qualifying in Australia when Craig Tyler was tournament director. I played Feliciano Lopez close in 4 sets. So those were definitely some highlights, getting to play qualies at Wemby, playing in the US Open main draw. Had more success in doubles, won a couple titles to 50 and 75K levels. Probably focused on singles too much, tried to make that happen too long. And I think I definitely, hindsight, one of the things I look back on is probably could have stopped playing singles sooner and focused on doubles. But it's hard to know in the moment, when most of the people around you are pushing you to play singles and a lot more money than in singles. But that would probably be one of the things I would, if I was telling myself, back then is, hey, give doubles more of a shot. Because a lot of times I'd have to pull out of doubles to go play singles qualies. To be honest, I mean, not a lot. I mean, lowlights, I don't know. I mean, I was just so blessed to have that experience and, had a great support staff, had great coaches. I had great support from the USTA. So I don't know. I mean, obviously I would have liked to be more successful. I would have liked to, stop singles sooner and play more doubles. I really.
Now, did you hook up with Rajeev? Did you hook up with your college teammate? On Pro Tour at your beginning?
We won a couple challengers. We won out of Maui, won a 50K, won a couple with Isner, who's a pretty good partner to have for doubles. Funny story about John. We were playing Calabasas, and it was our first time playing together. He was fresh out of college, I think, or maybe 6 months. And I said, okay, John, what's the strategy? Because I was a pretty strategic doubles player. I think, fairly smart. I like to think so. And so I said, John, what's our play this week? What formations, what are we going to play like? He says, I don't know. He says, when I serve, you play I formation, you stand in the middle and you try to get it, or I'll ace him. And I was like, is this guy for real? And, first round, we had an easy round. Second round, a little tougher, but didn't need a lot of strategy. And then semis, we played a really good team. I said, okay, cut the BS. We need to talk about strategy. And he says, what do you mean? It's working. Let's continue. I said, oh, geez. Okay. And so we ended up winning the event. Winning a challenge was going to help your ranking for sure. And so I was like, hey, where are you playing next? Do you want to play next week? And so he was great, good guy. And yeah, I played a little bit with Rajeev. At that level, when you're 200 in singles and, maybe, I don't know, 120, 130, 140 in doubles, you're changing partners a lot. So I didn't have a normal partner a lot, so you're switching around. But yeah, got to play a little bit with Raj.
No, that's awesome. It seems like you had some unbelievable experiences, both singles and doubles. So I want to kind of transition into coaching because was it something that after your playing days were over, this was something that you feel like you could give, you could give back because of, the skill level, and two, like you said, you were a more strategic type of player, but how did it fall? Did it kind of fall into your lap? Were you trying to do something outside of tennis in a different industry and tennis kind of sucked you back in? How did it all work out?
So yeah, good question. I was living in Las Vegas my last year and a half on tour. I had transitioned out of Los Angeles, and this was a great place to train. The cost of living was lower. They actually have a great airport. I was able to fly international pretty easily through Las Vegas. So I was here, and I had met some people, and I'd met Saad Ashraf, who's the director of juniors at Darling back then, I think in 2007, 2008. And yeah, it was something that really interested me, and he was recruiting me to come coach. And I had played the Tennis Channel Open at Darling, so I had known about the facility, and it's it's in a great part of town. It's in Summerlin, beautiful part of Las Vegas. So I was spending some time with my parents in San Diego, trying to figure out what to do next. And he was calling and said, okay, I'll go up and check it out. And it just seemed like a great team. We had a great staff, and they were very passionate about it. It wasn't, hey, we're just, going to coach a couple hours a day and, make a living. It was something that, we had a plan to be great and to help a lot of kids be great. And so that I think that passion attracted me, and being a part of something that was we had big plans, and that was something that was important to me, not just go out and make some money, but doing something I was passionate about. And early on, I really enjoyed coaching, and still do enjoy coaching young players. So I'll coach kids from 5, 6, 7 years old, and do it right. Make sure that they learn the fundamentals and they have fun. And so yeah, that's kind of how my coaching career started.
That's awesome. And it is a beautiful facility, and you guys have put on some big events, and you guys are coming up. I think the women are beginning of February through like mid-February. They have that UTR Pro Tennis Series event, and then the men come that second half of February into early March, right?
Correct. Yeah, we're really excited about partnering with UTR and being a club that is going to run multiple events this year of the UTR Pro Series. It's a fantastic way for top juniors, college players, and pros to make a living and compete and earn a living. So February 7th is our first women's event. There'll be $20K in total prize money. Everyone makes money, even if they lose first round. We'll be having wild card tournaments prior to that event. Before each event, we're going to have an 8-person qualifying event where they can qualify into the main draw. These matches will be streamed worldwide on PlaySite. So we'll have 3 courts streaming all day, every day of the tournament. And so, yeah, it's been great partnering with UTR and Stephen Armitage, a good friend of mine. I know you just had him on not too long ago. So Stephen has been great working with him, and his passion for tennis and how UTR has adapted during this pandemic has been pretty neat.
Unbelievable. They have been, since the pandemic started in March. I mean, what they have done and the creativity involved that they have really stepped it up big time. Shout out to Ann and Stephen and everybody at UTR, because they've been doing some really, really, really cool things.
Yes, absolutely. So we're really excited about these first 4 events. We'll have 2 women's event back to back, so that the women can stay and train and get 2 events in. And then after that, we'll have 2 men's events. And really excited about the opportunities for our juniors, local players, and players from all over the country and even internationally to come play. We've got all our guidelines in place, keeping everyone safe and making sure that we're running it properly. And then we hope to do more later in the year. So it's a great facility to host events, and we're excited about those UTR events coming up.
Now, on top of what you do at the Darling Tennis Center, you're also the U.S. scout for head tennis, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's super cool. Why don't talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. So I've been involved with head for close to 2 years now. And my role is to scout and sponsor top junior players, is to connect and work with some college players and teams and get them, our latest products, and then also young pros that aren't necessarily getting picked up by our international headquarters in Austria, or not under a contract by them. But so I have kind of a wide range, of responsibilities, but it's exciting because I get to travel. A big part of my initiative has been to get more coaches using the head products and the Penn tennis ball. And, it's been really neat to connect with pros. I was at the US Open last year, watching Coco and Sasha and Novak. So it's really neat for our juniors to get excited about, watching the pros and getting to know about their equipment. So yeah, it's been neat. I get to travel and go to the big junior events and some of the Grand Slams. And it's definitely something that's exciting, and they have fantastic equipment. So it's been a nice fit.
Oh, awesome. That's super, super cool. But before we conclude, I do want to mention, I know there's a husband and wife that often come out to the Darling Tennis Center. And I think their names are Andre and Steffi. I know I think the listeners may have heard of these two before. Two decent players.
Not bad at all.
Not bad. They come out and I understand. I mean, they're working with the kids and even the adults to want to hit. I mean, they're giving their time when they're out there, and they're also working out themselves, right? How cool is that?
It's pretty special. I got to meet Andre back in 2004 during team tennis, and he actually came up to me and introduced himself prior to the match. And he said, "Hey, I'm Andre. Welcome to World Team Tennis. Let's have a great match tonight." So, as anyone that's met him knows, he's a class act. And when he did that to me, introduce himself, and then we got to play singles. That was pretty special, even though he kicked my butt. But yeah, him and Steffi, they're out there a lot. I mean, we have young pros that come through. We just had Sebastian Corda doing some off-season training here with his father, Peter. And Andre and Steffi just love to be on the court. They love the game. Their passion is the passion is still there. So it's pretty neat. I mean, I've seen them play, with some top juniors that they know, some pros. So it's pretty exciting. It's great for the club. And they love coming out and hitting on stadium court and training players and being involved. So it's pretty neat. It's pretty special for our kids and everyone at the club to be able to see that on a daily basis.
Yeah. So two quick questions for you before I end. Steffi still knife that slice like crazy?
Unbelievable. I mean, if it was a grass court, no one could get it back. But it is a slower hard court, so some people can get it back. But yeah, her footwork too. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, how quick she is on her feet and just the energy and passion she has, and yeah, pretty good backhand slice.
And Andre's two-hander just so clean and pure still.
I mean, I remember watching him with Sebastian. He wasn't hitting, but he was coaching. He was probably 30 feet behind the baseline, and somebody had hit a ball long, and he just stepped and took a cut, and everyone kind of turned and looked because it sounded like a rocket explosion. I mean, it was massive. I mean, that beautiful head racket he's using, and his explosiveness, it was pretty cool. He doesn't hit as much as Steffi, but man, when he hits the ball, it's got some juice on it.
Awesome, man. Hey, Brian, this was so much fun. I wanted to have you on for a while. Thank you for taking time out of your day and doing this. You have a ton of experience to share, and hopefully we'll get to do this again sometime because you got a lot of stuff going on. I'd love to have you back on whether we talk Darling, whether we talk head tennis, whether we talk about anything related to tennis. You have a ton to offer, and if cool with you, man, you come on again.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me. This has been great.
Brian, this was awesome, man. Thanks so much. And best of luck with everything that you're doing. Tennis is lucky to have you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All the best.
Hey, Brian.